There's something wrong here. This isn't normal. Something not quite gelling with the KTM 890. Can you spot what's wrong? Whoa. Sorry about the wind. Getting my barnet all over the place up here. On top of a hill, the benefit of the KTM 890, you can hit those dirt trails, gravel tracks, go off the beaten path. Big benefit. However, can you spot what's wrong with the KTM 890? Something not quite gelling there. Let's jump on board, take her for a ride, go over the thoughts. So before we jump into what's wrong with the 890, it's not what's wrong, that's harsh, it's more what's subjective. But one of the bonuses with the middleweight adventure segment is if we go to rider modes, and there we go. The 890 standard model has 3 modes. You've got street, rain, off-road. Pop it in off-road, easily done with the thingamajiggy, the screen. Ride mode off-road, ABS is on road. I'm not going to be doing any extreme off-roading, so that's fine with me. But yeah, the 890, it's a middleweight adventure bike, very much geared towards off-roading. It's got a 21-inch front wheel, 18-inch rear, so I thought, why not? Let's take it up a gravel track and see what it's about. Now let's get the elephant out of the room, so to speak. God, it's great fun. What's wrong with it? This is so subjective, but I had to just say it because I've always thought it very strange. I think some KTMs look slightly odd, but you sort of can warm to them. However, this 890 Adventure, they've really gone for it, haven't they? It's completely subjective. Some of you may love the looks. Personally, I can't quite find an angle on this bike where I like the looks of it, if I'm being honest, but that really is personal preference. I know it's a bit harsh. Hate to start the video off with a negative, but yeah, just my thoughts. Anywho, get that out of the way. On to the good points, and yeah, I've been riding it for sort of half the day now, and there are quite a lot of good points with this bike. First off, I'm a complete amateur off-roader, and it is really, really easy. We're on road tyres, so I'm taking it really easy. I really don't want to drop this bike, it's not mine. It definitely has the capability to go off-roading. I'm going to sit down so I can talk to you. One of the major benefits, I think, of these KTMs, which is just a genius move, is the bladder tanks, the fuel tanks at the bottom. So that weight genuinely is so low down, and you can feel it's low down. This thing is so stable off-road or just at slow speeds anywhere. It really is. That is a massive benefit that I think other motorcycle manufacturers should definitely be considering with those bladder tanks. Real bonus. Okay, let's put her back in street mode, back to more of my natural habitat, see how she performs on road. Real fun. So let's see if I can remember my stats and figures. Costing you 11,449 of your English sterling pounds. Not the cheapest middleweight adventure bike. In fact, it's probably one of the most expensive. Engine, it's the 889cc parallel twin. Exactly the same engine as out of the 890 Duke, but this is slightly detuned just to give a little bit more of a lazier power delivery. Don't see that as a negative thing. It's adventure bikes, it's that style. If you're in the adventure market, really, that's the source you're going to get from your engine. It's got 103 brake horsepower and 100 newton meters of torque. Now it weighs 196 kilograms dry, so sort of around what, 210, 215 wet. Oh, these roads are so nice. The weight is so low down in those bladder fuel tanks, it's just a genius move. It feels so much lighter than those figures suggest. Even with that 21-inch front, 18-inch rear, it's really manoeuvrable. It's a nippy bike, this. It's great fun. Yeah, it's sporty. She's a sporty number. So it's actually a fair bit smaller bike for an adventure bike. It feels smaller than its competition, I would say. It's a relatively low seat height. It's 830 millimeter seat height. Let's just pull over here. show you what it's like. I'm 5'9", and yeah, if you can see that, I can just about flat foot it. It's a relatively narrow seat. Anyway, 830, it's sort of like a standard motorcycle height. That's low for an adventure bike. So you do feel abnormally close to the ground for an adventure bike. So this model doesn't come with the quick shifter, but you can spec a quick shifter, which I definitely would, because it would be great fun. Right, let's just strap my bag on so I know where I'm going, because my sense of direction is horrendous. In fact, whilst we're here, pretty quiet road. What do you think of the looks? Let me know in the comments down below. I gotta be honest, it's better in this black, much better, I personally think, than in the orange. I think because you can sort of see it less. It stands out more in the orange, which I think doesn't do it much of a favour. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly different styling. I could warm to it. Now I've ridden it a bit, it just rides so well and is so much fun to ride. I think I could actually learn to, maybe not love the looks, but learn to live with them for sure, because it is a peach of a ride. Right, so go over a bit of the specs. So at the front, you've got WP Apex, KTM's in-house brand of suspension, 43mm with 200mm travel. It's non-adjustable, the front suspension actually, which I find a little bit strange. Not saying it needs it at all, but you know, it's got a lot of technology, this bike. Surprised the front suspension's not adjustable. On the rear, you've got again WP Apex monoshock, but that is adjustable. I think you can adjust the rebound and the preload, not compression, with one of those little twisty knob things on the back, so that's a nice bit of adjustment there for the rear. Yeah, sorry, I'm sort of all over the place in this review. I've been having too much fun, I always get that. So yeah, it's got the 21-inch front, 18-inch rear. Now, what's it feel like to ride? So I actually feel like you're sitting in the bike, which is a nice feeling. It's a relatively tall screen. It's not as tall as you get on big adventure bikes like the GS or even the 1290. It's a shorter screen than that, but it's a good screen. So you're sitting in the bike, feel nice and costed. It's a nice place to be, very comfortable. All standard KTM switch gear with your sort of your set and your arrows there, if you've ever used that before. It's good. It can be a little bit complicated to use to start off with, but once you're used to it, it's one of my favourite systems once you're used to it. It's really simple and you feel a bit like a sort of, I don't know, it's quite technical, it feels quite cool. I quite enjoy switching between the modes, if that sounds stupid, but yeah, I do. So what's the engine like? Well, if you've ever ridden a Duke 890, very similar to that. It's a parallel twin. I have heard some criticisms about the engine, about it being a little bit vibey. To be honest, I did feel that when I first jumped on the bike, but now I'm used to it. You get to know the engine, and it's a brilliant motor for this. It's got plenty of torque low down, and then you can actually wring it out and have some fun with it as well. I would say, as I often do, it's a characterful motor. It's not the most refined parallel twin I've ever ridden, that's for sure. It's got more character of what KTM do. It's got that KTM character to it. It's growing on me for sure. So for slow maneuver stuff like this, just down a bumpy road like this in this town, it's so good because of that. Partly because of the fuel being so low down in the bladder fuel tanks. It just feels so light. It's so good. It's so good at this stuff. I just want to ride it up there and over some bumps, etc. It's not very extreme. It sounds stupid, but it is. It's really good at that. But as you could see back then, when you jump on a smooth, twisty road, it's really sporty as well. It's a really nimble bike as well. It's genuinely an impressive piece of machinery, this. It really does have it all, and over bumps there, just like going over bumpy roads, it soaks them up. The suspension's really nicely damped for those bumps, and I'm amazed when you get onto smoother, quicker roads with a 21-inch front wheel how well it handles. those roads, it's great fun to ride. So being well aware that these even the middleweight adventure bikes are going to be used a lot primarily for sort of touring as well. What's it like on faster roads? Well, it's got plenty of power. Of course, I mean, it's over 100 brake horsepower. There's loads of power there, guys. It is really windy today, so that may be a downside. If you can hear it in my voice, I'm having to shout. Because of those, I find the slightly strange looks. It's missing something at the front, under the headlights, the fairing. There are some little sort of plastic winglets there, but that seems to be letting through quite a lot of wind blast at higher speeds. Other than that, on the faster A roads, it's really planted. And like I was saying, it is surprisingly nimble. You really wouldn't notice it's a 21-inch front wheel. It's very good at disguising that. Again, very reminiscent actually of the 1290, the feeling of the handling. The 1290 is quicker handling, because I think it's got the 19-inch front, but it's just the weight so low down. They're really nimble, these KTMs. It's very impressive. Right, I'm just going to try and get across the speed. So I'm going 42 in third gear, just over 4,000 RPM. You roll on. It's got immediate, very fast pickup and nice torque. And it does pick up. It feels light and nice pickup. But because I want you to get the right feel for the bike if you're seriously thinking of buying one, it does gas out. I mean, it's a fast bike, don't get me wrong, but it's not like the 1290 or even a GS or the slightly bigger capacity engines. When you hammer it with the throttle, sort of second, third, fourth gear, you do get that flat spot in the higher up in the revs. I mean, it's a given, it's a parallel twin, it's going to happen, but just so you know, that is what the riding experience is like. If you're after something for chasing revs and really setting you alight with speed, this is not it. However, with the low down torque and usable torque for actual road use and pulling out of corners, sharp corners like these, it's lovely. Just what you need from blapping from corner to corner. I'm not riding mega fast, I'm not blowing my own trumpet here, but there's no way you could ride an Africa Twin as fast as this thing through corners. No way. Okay guys, really sorry about the wind if you can't hear me so well. It's just incredibly windy today and there's no shelter. Go over a few of the specs. So the fuel tank, it's a 20 litre fuel tank. In my opinion, good sized fuel tank. I mean, if you're going touring on this, there's plenty of fuel capacity. If you had a 30 litres on this, I think those bladder tanks would just look pretty silly really. They would look too big and protrude out too far. So yeah, fuel 20 litre. On to the brakes. So you got two 320mm discs up front with dual 4-piston calipers. KTM brand, they're not Brembo, they're KTM branded, but yeah, the brakes are absolutely fine, really nice feel to them. And onto the rear brakes, you have a single 260mm disc with a 2-piston caliper, again KTM branded caliper. Time to take her back to her rightful owners, Blade Motorcycles. Whilst we're on it, a huge thank you to Blade Motorcycles in Swindon, where I do a lot of my test rides. Yeah, just another example of the massive range of motorcycles they have there that you can test out with them. I just want to show you another feature before we head back, which I've just spotted. Now, despite my groans of jumping on then, that is a benefit of this bike. It's so easy to get on with the low seat height and the weight low down. That's another huge benefit. But I've just spotted a little GPS mount here. So you remove this plastic cover there and you can mount a GPS there just above the TFT dash, which I think is really cool for adventures and going on tours. Also, another useful, you have your 12-volt socket just there, so I can plug your phone in and charge it there, or sat nav, etc., which is very useful. It's got a nice exhaust noise, characterful. It's not mega loud. I would definitely swap the can out for an aftermarket slip-on exhaust if exhaust noise is your thing. So downsides of the bike, well, I think we've pretty much done it at the beginning actually. For me it's the looks, but they're so subjective looks. But yeah, I think it's personally a bit of an odd looking motorcycle. Let's just leave it at that. Any other downsides? I suppose you could say the character of the engine, it's not the most refined engine. If you're looking for something smooth, a long distance tourer come adventure bike, then I'd say you're probably not getting it from this. It's along with the actual physical size of the bike, I think for longer, smoother, comfortable touring you'd be better off with something like an Africa Twin or even a Tiger 900 GT, just that bit smoother, more refined. However, this thing as an all-round bike is mighty impressive. Yeah, I'm very impressed with it. I mean, I watched and done some research obviously before doing this test ride and have heard some great things about it, but I can see why. It just does sort of everything so well, all aspects so well. Off-road, it was very easy to handle, and it fills you with confidence. On-road, really easy to ride with the weight low down, low seat height, and nimble as well. Just does everything so well. Yeah, great motorbike guys, really highly recommend a test ride on one. Apologies if this review's been a bit all over the place. I think I might have long COVID or something. I hate to whinge about it, but yeah, it's been about 4 weeks now and I sort of got over it mentally, but it's just feeling tired and struggling on really. But anyway, let's stop whinging about that. What a lovely view. Shout out to mental health awareness, as always. I like to do that on my videos. Keep riding guys, get out on your bikes, just enjoy motorcycling. It improves quality of life profoundly. Stay happy out there. If you like the vid, please don't forget to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button for many more motorcycle videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Ciao Bella. To get this in there, I do love adventure bikes, you know. Riding a Triumph Speedmaster, a cruiser, modern classic myself, it is nice to jump on an adventure bike, feel slightly higher up, just feel like you're exploring. Big screen in front of you. Something nice about it. It's a nice feeling. I'll leave you with that. See you in the next one.